G'day people, I'm Monstad. Welcome back to the Space Engineers Survival Series, which is definitely going to be the final episode of Season 1 before we commence with Season 2, Up in Space. Yeah, please ignore this ugly monstrosity to the side of me just for the moment. I'll get to that in a little while. So, the last episode, all sorts of issues with the drones, which I simply can't resolve. Now, I'm pretty sure I've narrowed down which I think is a bug, what the bug actually is. When I have multiple drones flying around to and from the ice drills connecting here, every now and then, or every 1 or 2 times that they land on the connectors along here, which are all connected to this grid, they just hang up and won't leave the connector. Now, they're not getting stuck because I've tried it with the connectors being switched off as part of the timer routine, and they still won't take off. So what it is they're not moving to the next waypoint on the patrol cycle that the drone's on. So they're not moving to waypoint 1 for some reason when there are multiple drones connecting to the same grid. And I've tried all sorts of things. I've added connectors to each of the sorters to each of the connectors. Excuse me. I haven't recorded for a little while because I haven't been very well, so I do apologise if I do cough occasionally through the video. Coughing, sneezing, spluttering and sniffing doesn't make for very good video, I can assure you, but I think I'm just about over it now, so apologies for the delay on getting this one out. But as I was saying, I tried all sorts of things, renamed all the connectors, added sorters to each of the connectors to try and, I guess you could say, individualize the connectors, because I figured that's what the issue was, because they were never getting stuck on the ice drills ever. But all the ice drills are, for all intents and purposes, individual grids, each one of them. They were only ever getting stuck at this end. Well, they're not, like I say getting stuck. They were stopping their patrol routine at this end. So, well, I've got one of them working. It works perfectly fine. So, Ice Drill 4 is currently going to and from. Sorry, Cargo Drone 4 is currently going to and from Ice Drill 4, which is pretty much just about finished its routine at the moment, and it's got about 11 million units of ice in there ready to come across. Excuse me. So, and it's been working fine. That's been going for a little while now, and it's no problems whatsoever. As soon as I activate another drone, the problem repeats itself, and I haven't found any way to resolve it. I've changed the timers, I've changed the way they connect, the periods of connection, all sorts of things. Believe me, I've tried a ton of things. I've spent hours on this trying to fix it, but it seems to be some kind of bug when multiple drones in patrol mode are connecting to multiple connectors on the same grid. So unfortunately, the multiple drones going to and from the multiple ice drills is just a simply no-go at the moment. So I'm just going to have one going every now and then just change it every now and then. But changing it every now and then shouldn't be an issue, because what I intend to do is set up a relay satellite between us and our space base, just out of the gravity well of the planet, so that we can access the hydrogen processing base from our space base. So we should be able to just do that from there without any problems whatsoever, without ever having come back to the planet. It does beg the question about the remote controlled cargo drone that will be lifting the liquid hydrogen to and from the planet to the base. Whether that will get hung up as well, I'm not sure. I guess we'll just have to test that when we get round to it, but hopefully that will be okay. Who knows? If it doesn't work, we will simply have to come down to the planet every now and then, just to collect a load of liquid hydrogen and do it that way. It's probably about probably about 20 minutes real time to come down, fill up, and then fly back up again. So not, in the big scheme of things, not a huge deal, I guess. So that's what I've been doing between episodes, apart from feeling very sorry for myself because I've been ill. But I think we're just about ready to leave this planet. Yeah, this monstrosity. I needed to reconfigure the salvager, the constructor, so that we could get it up into space and then use it in space once we're there. So yeah, it is a mess, and I apologise for it. Please don't ridicule me for that. Speaking of ridicule, Ice Drill 3, I said, oh, it's not working properly, the timer's off. Yeah, as most people pointed out to me, when I switched Ice Drill 3 on over in the control centre over there, I completely forgot to unlock the rotor. So when I went over there and saw that the thing wasn't moving around, it had spent like a third of its time not moving. That's why it didn't go all the way around once I unlocked the rotor. So yeah, I realised that when I was editing the video. So that's all fixed. So the timing's all perfect on the ice drills. There was nothing ever anything wrong with it whatsoever. It was, as always, human error. As always. So with this, I've reconfigured it a little bit. I've got an oxygen tank on there, one oxygen hydrogen processor, a couple of big hydrogen tanks, and a few hydrogen thrusters dotted around. I've removed a couple of the, well, I've removed all of the Atmos thrusters apart from the ones that give it the upthrust, and I've reduced those slightly, so just to give us a bit of extra oomph till we get above the 5,000 meter range, and then the hydrogen will take over completely. I'm hoping these two hydrogen tanks will be enough to get us all the way into space. I guess we'll find that out today. Yeah, because it's quite a heavy beast, this one, because the cargo containers, you know, it's got a lot of stuff in it, and I've transferred about 100,000 units of the liquid hydrogen over to here just to give us a start off as well. So yeah, I think we're pretty much ready to not abandon the base, but to vacate the base so that we can get up into space. But one thing I do want to do first before we go is nip down to the rat as it is now, because I removed the drill from the front, so it's no longer the tunnel rat, but it's a good little machine for, oh sorry, this was the front. It's a good little machine for nipping around the base, so it's really useful. So yeah, I'll catch you in just a moment. Later. Okay, welcome back. I just thought it would be quite fitting just to pay a little visit to where it all started in this season 1 at Pilgrim's Rest, because it keeps slipping my mind that we built this eternal monument to our crash site, but I thought it would be a good idea just to pay a visit, just to remember where it all started and how it started, the reason we're here, and the reason why we're going up into space to build a shipyard to create a battleship to kill pirates. So this was our original crash site. Still has the dent in the ground from the Pilgrim's Pride where it came down. And as you remember, we started with pretty much nothing. We had no refinery, no assembler, not even a med bay, and we had to get going. Nowhere to even recharge our suits, so we had to get together a little rover initially just so we could recharge our suit and try not to die in the process. And we came close once, as far as I can recall, with a blast from the radiated gas from one of the damaged reactors that threw us over the ground. I think took down about 25% of our health, if I recall rightly. But yeah, it was Interesting. So it's been quite a journey since then. Over 20 episodes. Yeah. Cool beans. And this is still going, burning and turning nicely. And probably will for a long time, because I did put quite a bit of fuel in this thing. Oh, actually, do you know what? I think it might be powered from... Or are they powering the lights? I can't remember now. Can't remember how I set this up. But it should go for a while, this. Yeah. Fitting monument, I think, to the end of our initial ship and the beginning of this little journey. Cool. Beans. Back. Do you know what? We should probably get a screenshot. What do you reckon? Probably when it's all the way around here. Oh, do you know what? Let's get the title in. Oh, how about that? Wait till it comes back round again. Yeah, I thought it would be a good idea just to visit the monument one last time. You know, before we... There we go. Before we vacate the planet and head up to space. And it reminds us why we're doing all this. When we do get our battleship, every pirate we destroy, we could keep that in mind. Can't we? Cool beans. We'll come down and visit again sometime, I guess, at some point. I like the fact it's still got the dents in the ground. I'm glad that hasn't fixed itself in some way. Good. Right. What have we got over there? Hostile supply cache. Oh yeah, they're booby trap, those things. Yeah, for the life of me, I could not find a hostile POI that spawned drones to test out our bunker system. But yeah, it is what it is, I guess. We can't win them all. So we'll head back here. So what I'm going to do now is jump into the constructor vehicle. I think it's probably just about fully fueled by now. I've been popping ice into it as I've been doing all the other stuff around the base, and it's been slowly filling up its tanks. And I'm not sure if I explained another issue I discovered as well with the connectors. So if I go down here, what the plan with this one, apologies if I've already explained this to you. The plan with this one is the remote control drone will come down from space, land on here. It will fill up its cargo with the liquid hydrogen, but it will be run on hydrogen engines, so it would also fill up its hydrogen tanks from the hydrogen gas that we're processing in this center as well. Now the problem is you cannot route gases through the conveyor sorters. So I tested it with Bumbles, and it just wouldn't fill its tank up. So I've realized that I had to remove all of the conveyor sorters from this system for that to happen. But the problem is now it won't draw through the liquid hydrogen. So the remote control drone that I'm going to have to bring down from space will have to have some conveyor systems or conveyor sorter systems set up on board, so that it pulls liquid hydrogen through to the cargo containers on board the actual drone, the cargo drone, on one route, and then a separate route from the connector will lead into the hydrogen tanks, which will then automatically fill because there's no sorter in this system. So just something to bear in mind with sorters, they will not route gases, and if you have a sorter connected, even if you leave the sorter blank or to route everything, it still will not route gas through it. So I don't know why. I don't know why gases aren't added to the conveyor sorter list. It's still a commodity that we need to use, so a material that we use. So I'm not sure why they're not on there, and they should be added really. But hey ho, I mean we can work around it by having a sorter system on the actual drone. That's why I haven't connected this to this system to fill up its tanks, because it just wouldn't work. But yeah, there we go. So I think this is probably just about ready, so we should get in and probably test it. And I think before we do that, I should probably do a quick save. So let's... Boom. Let's save that. Get into this. Say goodbye to the planet. So inventory, I have made some oxygen bottles and filled those up. In the small cargo container here I've got some weapons and ammunition, paint, more hydrogen bottles, so I've got some spare stuff to go up. There's spare tools in the big cargo container. There's no ice left in the O2 generator. How are our tanks? They are 98% full, so it's either going to work or it isn't. Shall we do it? What a beat. This is so ugly. I think if you put some cladding on it, you could probably get a decent sort of shape to this. Excuse me. Once we get into space, I've no need for the atmospheric thrusters, so I'd remove those, and I've no need for the two large thrusters either, so I'd remove those. But let's pop these engines on and see if we can do this. Let's go. I need to keep an eye on the speed actually, so let's take the dampeners off so that we're not wasting fuel fighting against our down thrust, and we'll just feather these between 90 and 100 meters per second. Our atmospheric thrusters should be helping ease off on the hydrogen as we go, at least for the first 5 kilometers anyway. So what are we down to? 92%. See, after 5k the hydrogen thrust is going to be the only thing pushing us up, so the hydrogen is going to go down a little bit faster. And I've got no ice to refill at the moment. Maybe I should have put some extra ice in there. What are we at? Okay, let's turn off the Atmos thrusters. So we're on hydrogen alone now. What are we on? We're still on 1G. Oh, right, we're down to 0.96 Gs now, so we're going to be using less hydrogen as the Gs go down. We might be okay actually. I think we might be okay. So the intention before the end of this episode is I want to get up to the asteroid that I've earmarked as the point for our space base. And then when I get there, I'm just going to fly down towards the planet to within 50k of our GPS marker for our base, making sure that we're still out of the gravity well of the planet. And I'm going to build a relay satellite because the asteroid that I've earmarked for our base is over 50k from our planetary base, so we can't actually connect remotely to the base at all from that distance. So we need a couple of we need one relay satellite. With that, and with an antenna on our space base set at max, we should be able to talk to the base and control the base, the planetary base, from space as well. So that's what I was talking about earlier, when we need to change over one of the cargo drones, set off one of the other ice drills to to start the next lot of ice being transferred to the processing centre, we can do that from space. We don't need to come back down to the planet. Okay, so the bursts on the hydrogen engines are needed fewer and fewer now. So I think we're going to be good. We are going to be good. This is possibly one of the ugliest ships I've ever built. I'm going to have to before I start the episode 1 of season 2 in a couple of weeks. I'm going to have to redo this and just make it a little bit more attractive, I think. Yeah, definitely. Probably a good idea to pop on our helmet. Do you know what? I probably should have grabbed a couple of those oxygen bottles out of the cockpit as well. I'll grab that. I'll do that in a moment. Good. We're doing good. We should have plenty of fuel left to get us to our destination. And also enough to get us back to the point where we need to build the relay satellite. There we go, potential space base. It's come up on the GPS marker above us there now. We're almost 30k away from it. I just want to get out of the gravity well, then we can point ourselves towards it, set us off, and then actually just coast without using any fuel whatsoever. In fact, I think my cockpit is oxygenated, isn't it? Nearly there, nearly there. Sorry if this bit's not the most interesting bit of the episode, but I figured I'd show you the whole route up to the space base in case we ran out of fuel and came crashing down. Oh, that would have been ironic, wouldn't it? If we'd run out of fuel in gravity, we would have come crashing down to the planet in almost exactly the same spot as we started with the crash to the planet. That would have been a very fitting end to season 1. But at least we wouldn't have had to start from scratch. I could have just flew back over to the base and got everything together again. Okay, let's point ourselves towards our destination. There it is. Let's point ourselves off to the side a little bit, because I don't think this has a lot of stopping power. Come on, I just want to get out of the gravity well. .05 Gs. Didn't even use half of our fuel. Wow, I really expected that to be a lot closer than that. Oh, we've got a hostile mining carriage. Ooh, that means pirating opportunities and salvage opportunities. Right, we're out of gravity now. Let's get it to full speed and we'll just... Right, let's just slow ourselves down a bit, get ourselves lined up properly. So one of the things I'm going to be looking at over the next couple of weeks is some of the PvE mods that are around at the moment, to spice up Season 2 and give ourselves plenty of targets and plenty of opportunities for combat. What I'll probably do is start off reasonably easy with regards to the mods that I choose, and then gradually, as we get set up, increase the pressure with some of the more hostile mods, as it were, for want of a better word, until we get to the point, you know, we're in a pretty much full-on warfare with the pirates, and we can really test out this battleship. And I've got a really good idea of how the battleship's going to look. If you've ever read David Weber's Honor Harrington series of books, if you're watching this series, you're obviously into space-based stuff anyway. You would really enjoy that series. The series is about 13 books, and he started writing them quite a while ago, but really good space adventure. Fantastic description of combat that he does in the books, and in general gives a really good atmosphere of life in space and a space-based age. Well worth a read. But the ship designs that he has in there are fairly simple and straightforward, as you would expect real life ship designs to be. But that's the kind of thing I've got in mind, and it looks like I guess it's like they're very much like a submarine in space, and that's the kind of design they've got. And I think that kind of design would suit the kind of battleship that I have in mind. Missile silos at each end, fore and aft, and then the centre, both port and starboard, will be just an array of broadside weapons, and I'll be using modded weapons for that as well. So yeah, it should be pretty interesting. It takes a while to stop this thing. I'm going to have to really redo this big time, this machine, and make it a bit more flyable. So this is the asteroid that I've earmarked. I thought it was nice and unusual, pretty strange. I really like the ball that's sticking on the side there. I think we can do something with that. Excuse me. Plenty of iron. I think there was silver deposit on this one as well, and I think there's an ice deposit in the centre of that ball. So iron and ice initially, certainly good to have. Yeah, but I think it should be interesting. I think what I'm thinking of is perhaps build excuse me, build something that stretches in between the two sides of the two arcs of the asteroid here, and then stretching out from the asteroid outwards would be the shipyard. And I think that would be pretty cool. Big building project. It doesn't look that big, but we're still like 400 meters away from it. It is pretty big. So what I need to do now is one final thing, is identify where that is, just there. Excuse me. I'm going to fly down to within 50k of that, and I'll get back to you in just a moment. Later. Welcome back. So I've stopped. Let's turn those off. Hydrogen is off, or I'll burn myself when I get out. Okay, helmet on. I've got some O2 on me now. So yeah, I've gone to just under 48. I want to make sure we were out of the gravity well, but still be able to cover the entire base with a relay satellite. So what am I going to need? I'm going to need an antenna, solar panels, certainly batteries. I think that's pretty much all I need. I don't need a remote on this one, as far as I'm aware. You know, I've never built a relay satellite before. I'm assuming I know it works. I know how it works, but I've never had to use one before. I'm assuming I don't need remote controls or anything like that on. So yeah, it should just be the antenna and power. He says. Okay, well, let's give it a go. Let's give it a go. What colour should we do it? What a nice dark green. Oh, we'll go for the light blue. Yeah, we'll go for that. So I guess it doesn't matter what the orientation is going to be. Let's get some building materials on me before I do anything else. Okay, that should be good. Now the bobs are on there, so yeah, let's do it. So let's start with just a block of 4 like that. But you know what, we probably don't need to do that. I think one battery is probably going to be enough for this, isn't it? I'm sure. Yeah. Okay, so now we've got something on there with a control panel on it. Bob will see that as a whole unit, a whole grid, and start building everything. So let's pop the antenna on. Yeah, looks good, doesn't it? And we want solar panels. How many do we think? 2? Should be enough, shouldn't it? It's not going to use a huge amount of power, is it? Boom. Now we should have plenty of materials in constructor. If I could find the constructor. I need to switch it out. Do you know what? I don't think I have an antenna on the constructor. So that should be fully built now, I think. Let's access that, make sure it's set to 50k. Boom. 200 kilowatts. And the battery produce more than enough power, yeah. Current input. Yeah, input's more than output, so that's what we need when the sun is shining. So let's rename this. We'll call it Relay 1. I don't know if we'll ever build any more, but Relay Sat 1. That's what we call that. And we should really convert that to a station, shouldn't we? Yeah. Because we don't want it moving at all. So from this, we should be able to access this. And look at the remote access and be able to access everything on our station. So if we go to the terminal of Cargo Drone 4, we can see what it's doing. Currently doing nothing. It could be sat on one of the connectors waiting for its next waypoint, I guess. Where's its remote? Oh yeah, it's heading towards a waypoint. So good. So we could access anything on the base from here now. With it set at full range. Once we set up our base over there, we'll put another large antenna on that, set at 50, and then we can talk to the base from our space base via this relay antenna. So that should be perfectly fine. But once I get over there, I'm going to be out of range until I actually build an antenna. Cool. There we go. Yeah, I like that colour. Now where did I leave that ship again? There you are. Where's my way in? How do I get into this mess, this monstrosity? Boom. Okay, so I'll take my helmet off again now. Good. So, where is it? Where is it? There it is. Cool. Okay, let's head back over to here. If I put the engines on, that'd be helpful, wouldn't it? And at that point, I'm going to call it an episode and call it a season. Some successes, some failures. I'm really, I can't tell you how disappointed I am about the multiple drones not working. It's a real shame that they're bugged. I really wanted to be able to stand in the control center and look out over the ice fields and see all those drones going to and from the processing center and the ice drills, bringing in cargo. But unfortunately, it just wasn't to be. It just seems to be completely bugged. Like I said, I spent hours trying different things in case it was something to do with the timing, the settings. But every time I tried something, the same thing happened. It just got hung up before it went to position 1 on the patrol sector, the patrol system. Again, the route. As soon as I had one drone going, it worked perfectly fine continually. As soon as you have two, they get stuck on the connectors that are connected to the single grid. But yeah, what a pain, what a shame. But you know, we've got a way around it. We can still do it remotely from here. We can change the drones, get the next drone going, the next drill going from here without ever having to go down to the planet again, which is exactly what I wanted. It's just done in a slightly different way. Next challenge, of course, will be setting up the remote controlled drone to head down to the planet. Worst case scenario, what we can do is control it ourselves. It's not what I wanted to do because it's a 20-minute trip there and back in real time. So yeah, it takes time. What I wanted, this part of this is to save time long term by having things automated, but you know, it is what it is, like I said. But you know, hopefully the cargo drone planet to orbit will work. And yeah, this is going to be our new home. We've still got 50% of our hydrogen fuel left, so we're good. We've got ice in that little ball there, so we can certainly top up our fuel tanks on this. I've got some work to do on this constructor, that's for sure. We've got quite a few asteroids in the near vicinity as well, which I need to investigate. So I guess one of the first things we'll be doing in Season 1 is starting some kind of base here, get it oxygenated so that we've got some kind of permanent home up here. Won't be anything fancy initially. The other thing I wanted to be able to do almost instantly is set up some kind of refinery and assembly system and build a drill ship with ion thrusters so that we can then start heading out to these other asteroids and gathering materials for us to continue our building. We've got quite a lot of building materials in this constructor at the moment to keep us going, certainly enough to set us up. Let's turn the bobs off for the moment as well. Turn everything off. Yeah, so we're good to go. Thank you very much for sticking with me on season 1. I hope you enjoyed it. It shouldn't be too long before season 2 starts. So I've got, like I said, I've got a few preps to do first, a few things to organise. So maybe probably 2 weeks at the most. My intention is to do an upload of this world to Steam, but also with this video, and also the mod list. And when I start season 2, I'll update the mod list to let you know the PvE mods that I've added at that point, so you can play along as well if you want to. Until then, thank you very much for watching. If you subscribed, thank you very much for doing so. If you haven't, please consider that so that you don't miss season 2. I'm Monster Dad, and I'll see you later. Bye.